Hey, it looks like you're looking at our Stifle brace today. I wanted to give you a little insight on the design and what it's used for, kind of some background of it. I'm the orthotist that designed it originally about 20 years ago now. Well, the first thing I just kind of wanted to start with is the the Stifle brace right here. When we first started designing it 20 years ago, I was at Alameda East with Dr. Taylor and Carrie Adrian. He's an orthopedic surgeon and Carrie's a physical therapist. And at least initially, the brace was designed for a dog that couldn't have surgery, but it was because it was about 7 months old and its growth plate hadn't closed, so it couldn't have a TPLO surgery. So we were trying to support the dog until it could have surgery. Since then, we've really helped dogs that can't have surgery, and some people get upset and they say, "Well, you're trying to replace surgery, and surgery is the gold standard." We agree with that. We always have. We haven't said anything different. But what we've learned over the last 20 years is that there's probably 50% of the dogs that have a cruciate tear that don't have surgery. And they don't even get to the surgeons, so the surgeons don't really even know that. We see this in the ER and the general practice when they get diagnosed with the cruciate tear, and the owners can't do it. There's other medical reasons and whatnot. So we're trying to help those dogs that can't have surgery. So they're a step up from crate training or crate management, or just it doesn't happen, but people are worried that maybe euthanasia. So what the brace does, well, as we know, when a dog tears its cruciate, the bottom one bone wants to slide forward in a cranial drawer tibial thrust motion. So what this brace does is it allows the range of motion at that stifle, but it has plastic in the front here and behind the thigh, so that reduces that tibial thrust and it provides that support. So when a dog's lost that cruciate, they're not putting weight on it because it's not stable. When they put weight on it, they feel that shift. And so they're lifting the leg. There's probably pain involved with it, but they're lifting the leg really because they can't put their weight down. So if we can provide enough stability, then what they can do is start putting their weight down, and the atrophy of the muscles doesn't go as deep. And also, if we can get that muscle or that weight shift to balance, even if it's not 50-50, but 40-60, what that does is it helps us reduce the chances of a cruciate tear on the other side. We all know from the studies between 60 and 80% of the dogs will tear the other cruciate within a year. So if we can keep more of a balanced weight mechanism until the fibrosing happens for that medial buttress to form, then we have a less chance of tearing the other side for a family that can't do the surgery on the first side. So we're helping the dogs that way. Now, some things about this design that's different. One, this is the lightest brace, custom brace out on the market. Okay, it's made of a hard plastic, but in order to do that, what we need you to do is wrap a cast of the dog's leg. And we have some casting videos to show you how to do that. It's a pretty simple procedure. It's really no different than wrapping a regular cast, but it's not going to be near as thick because we're going to use a simple guard and a hook blade that keeps you from cutting, and you can cut that off really simply, and then that comes to us. So one, it has to be custom. These off the shelf things that are coming in through Amazon, they don't have an intimate enough fit to really reduce that drawer, and they're made out of fabric, and you can stretch fabric very simple, quite a ways more than what the drawer would be. So that's one thing. It's custom. It's lightweight. But since it allows that range of motion, we can still keep building the muscle mass back after they've gotten fit with it. There's, depending on how deep you get into biomechanics, there's some books out there that talk about force couples. That's a term that came out in the 80s when human knee bracing came out. Some of that works really well for animals. What we found with the dogs, it doesn't work exactly the same, and it has to do with the fact that they're walking on all fours and they're walked with a crouch gait compared to humans. So because where the hamstring insertion and origin are, it causes the thigh section to change shape dramatically as they walk. And so we actually had to remove the top strap, because what would happen is when that got wide, and if you tried to hold on real tight to it, it's a cone over a cone and it forces it down, and it caused all these suspension and issues of keeping it up. But what we found is if we push tight right here behind the femur, like we would opposite of if we're doing a drawer test, but we're going to push behind the femur and pull back in front of the tibia, we get enough stability that the dog can put weight on it and be active. So the other thing because that dog is changing shape, this thigh section moves according to it. And so what we do is we actually don't have any padding in this, so that thigh section can slide back and forth without causing pain and rub sores. This came from me, actually. I'm an amputee, and I have a thigh section on my leg. And when I would have padding with a high coefficient of friction, it wasn't comfortable. It would rub sores. And I found that the hard, smooth, the leg could slide across it better. It was much more comfortable. So it's from experience in this part. But we have padding here in front of the tibia, and then we have a suspension cuff here on this bottom. So this bottom Velcro actually sticks to this cuff. You can see it's kind of tough to come apart. But what you do is you wrap this cuff around just above the hock, and you wrap it tight enough so it won't slide down past that. And then this Velcro strap at the bottom attaches to it, and then that keeps it suspended. So that way we don't have to have a harness that goes over the dog's back and, starts all this other motion problems that we have. So those are the big things with it. I'm sure you'll have more questions. Ashley and Dr. Paul and our whole team have been trained on this for a long time. We've been doing this, like I say, for over 20 years now. Ashley's an orthotist prosthetist like I am. Eric, who works in the lab, is also an orthotist prosthetist. You're not going to see another company that has as much professional training inside the company as ours. So when you have questions, reach out, and we'd love to be able to help you. Take care.